Hello there. It's nice to chat with you again.
Are you ready to have another romantic private chat?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, good. I'm here. I got a pen, calculator. I got some glue. I think we're set to go.
Well, I have a nice and naughty baseball cap here.
That's nice. That sets the tone for everything.
And I have a Tokidoki date book.
Whoa, I like this game. Let's see. I have some sandalwood incense, some contracts. These are very important contracts.
So out of curiosity, what do you have in your rider?
We have kombucha tea, and because everybody's vegetarian and I'm allergic to pretty much everything, yeah, it's like fruits and veggies and produce and things like that. That's pretty much it. So I'm a cheap date.
So what's life on the road like with a group of Bloody Crumpets?
Sparkly, sweaty, glittery. The inside of the bus is like some kind of a fairy bomb just went off and exploded. Yeah, there's glitter everywhere, though the driver will never, ever get it out. There's always good ways to tell if we've had a shower or not, and I'm going to tell you one of them.
Excellent.
I don't know if you can see these.
I see marks of some sort.
Yes, okay, there's marks. There's one there, and they're like big red lipstick bite marks, and that's when Contessa bites me on stage every night, and it's supposed to be like a stage bite. Well, it's not. It's really fucking real. And her lipstick is so just like theatrical makeup strong that even after a shower, this one only is half off. But this is how you know that I'm actually really, really dirty, is if the venue doesn't have a shower and we just have to go on straight from that city, then yeah, if I've got this big one there, that's how people know. And now that I've told you, everyone knows that I have not showered today.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Have you ever told her to ease up on the biting?
No, because I don't know, other things I probably shouldn't say, but I very much like that. And I also like that when we do fire performances, we are all certified and very well trained in fire safety. However, I quite like the little scars that I get, that nobody else would get, but I get when Contessa does the fire eating, and so sometimes I'll put out my arms on stage. I have no protection on whatsoever, but that's kind of the point. Is so I have her drag the flame down my arms, and it'll like leave little burny marks sometimes if the wick is kind of messed up. So I've got these little scars here, and she feels bad about it, but then like, no, this is what I want when I'm 90 years old. And I was a crazy fucked up showgirl that did like fire burns on stage. Like, this is the stuff I'm going to want. So war marks that I'm very proud of. So I just tell her to bite harder.
Well, there are some people who don't like their tattoos as they get older because their skin changes. You get older, your skin wrinkles. I'm kind of curious. Do you think down the line you'll be looking back and going, I probably shouldn't have been bitten so much?
No, it's going to be completely the opposite, because now it's like, oh, God, what does her boyfriend do to her? And then later it's just going to be like, oh, I'm awesome. I had adventurous lifetimes. I was fabulous once. So,
see, those are what I'm told will be the stories for the park bench of life.
Yes.
Yes, for when you're 70 years old with a cane and talking to the kids.
I know. Well, it's fun because I have a cane in this show. It's not actually of any use. I have a song called Girls, 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 not a Motley Crue cover, contrary to popular belief, but it is a song where I have a hat and a cane, like I dress in boy drag. I can't keep my mustache from falling off, so that's becoming kind of an issue. But yeah, we cane dance and my whole job in this song is to sell the girls for a tuppence. Yeah, to basically make the crazy girls into a circus act, because totally off topic, but I like to do this, where it's actually something that they would do in insane asylums of old, is take the paying public and take them through the halls of cells and inmates and kind of dress up the crazy girls with like flowers in their hair and all this crazy shit going on, and sell tickets to see the crazy girls. So that's essentially in that song, I'm the guy selling tickets to see them. And I've got my hat and my cane because it's very like old school Broadway show tuney. Good times. It's hilarious. It's the funniest shit I've ever written, because it's meant to be, it's like all the things that you're saying are completely true, and that's how people thought. I mean, there was a book that came out in 1890 something that was actually about, like, from a scientist pontificating that, are women actually human? Because they seem so completely inferior and their brains are like the size of a walnut. They can't actually, there's some like weird form of monkey, like they're not actually human. And so that's kind of how I treat them in this song, because I wanted the same thing. I don't really think they are either.
So your new album is called Fight Like a Girl. What inspired the title, and is it true that it's going to be turned into a Broadway musical?
Yes, it is. And the title is about taking back the words and terms and phrases that have been used for decades, if not centuries in some cases, as a way to insult boys and ridicule girls. is something that's bad for everyone. So my goal for myself and for others, it seems, is to take back those words and phrases and make them not only something that isn't insulting and hurtful, but to make it actually something pretty awesome, badass, and a source of strength and power. So that's what we're doing. And, I'm not the first to show that girls can kind of fight like whatever they want to. It's like we kind of know this already. I'm not saying anything new, but it doesn't seem to hurt to have someone keep saying it, to just be able to bring that into the real part of this story, where initially what it's really from is because the album and then the show are literally telling the story of the part of my book, Silent for a Wayward Victorian Girls book, that has the scene called the Tea Party Massacre. That's the scene where all of the girls, 1,000 girls maybe, that have been locked up in this Victorian insane asylum, figure out, through some really extraordinary circumstances, figure out that they have, and kind of in a Wizard of Oz way had all along but didn't know it, the means for their escape. So they're able to unlock the master cell, by which they can then unlock all of the other cells, by which all of a sudden they're at the top of this building in the prison wards, and they're like, holy shit, we're free. Of course, we're still in this building. We've still got 50 doctors in attendance below that have been, brutally torturing us for years. But now we realize there's power in numbers, and numbers are on our side, because there's 1,000 of us and there's 50 of them. So who's scary now? And that's really the question of who's scary now. And then they just Tea Party Massacre it. They just go on a rampage and they slaughter everybody in the attempt to take back the asylum and make it, like I always say, what it was always supposed to have been but never was, which is a sanctuary, a place to go to be safe, blah, blah, blah. So that's what they do. And that's how the record begins, is that scene where, and the show as well, that scene where you hear the gates open because they've just realized, oh my God, we can get out. Now what do we do? And then they divide up and they create this war plan where they just take everybody down. Then that brings you by, the third song of the show and of the album to the flashback. Because you can't have a whole album of songs about like, we're fighting, we're mad, whatever. It's not, that's the point. Then you go on the flashback to both my modern world, the Victorian life, because, I'm guessing that you already know that, that's the whole story, is my journal entries from my own insane asylum days to my Victorian counterpart, which is this alternate reality that I got into when I was there and didn't have anyone to talk to and all of that. So they have these journal entries that go side by side, and then they kind of come together, and you can't tell whose is whose anymore, to where by the end they kind of cross and the worlds collide. So it goes to flashbacks of how this whole fucking mess started. How do we even get here? Takes you down to how the people get locked up, what happens to them, to where by the end of the show and the end of the album, you're pretty much right back to where we began, which is in this fight. And then, so we take care of that, we win that, and then that leads you to the ultimate and most important and most heartbreaking question is, where do you go from here? Sure, you've taken back this place, but blood's everywhere. Everybody's dead. Even though you're still alive, there's thousands of your friends and fellow inmates that you've lost over the years. That's going to get out of your head. So even though you've survived, even though you're still alive, doesn't mean that you're living. And if you don't have anyone to fight anymore, how do you even know who you are? Because, and I think a lot of women, just obviously this is all about parallels to our real lives. Both men and women, and all of that is, if we were actually okay, and if I was actually not afraid to go outside after dark wearing whatever, or if I could just run around town by myself all the time and not have somebody say, don't go into that area because you're a girl, or don't, whatever, would I even know what the hell I was anymore if I didn't have something to fight and worry about, and this fear over me, over all of us, all of the time? If we actually did have any form of equality, which we don't anywhere in the world, and it's a complete sham to think that because we can vote, we're anything towards equality, because we're not. It's a joke. Would we even know what to do? And that's the other question, is just how do we go on from all of this mess and take all of this back, and to go on and not just be alive, but really live a real life? And the whole answer to that at the end of the show, end of the record, is that there is no answer. There's no magic answer for all of this. The only thing that you do is put one foot in front of the other foot. And that's what that song is called, The End of Everything. It's just one foot in front of the other foot, in front of the one foot, in front of the other foot. And it's just this march into kind of eternity of the tomorrow of how you go on. And that's really what it's about. And so I think it's for not only people that have been bipolar and suicidal and all that fabulous stuff. That's not
right.
Everybody has to be into this, and you also don't have to be a girl, which is evidenced by my more than 50% male audience, which makes me really proud, is that they completely get it. But, you could have just had a really bad day. You could have a bad relationship. You could have any struggle in life whatsoever, and everybody needs a place that is a little sanctuary or a little something where they can go and feel a bit more themselves. And that's what all of this is about. And what's great about what I'm talking to you about right now is that I know you didn't ask any of this, and I just talking to you. And
Yes.
there it goes. So yeah, how about let's talk about something that you want to talk about now?
No, that was good, actually. It's interesting. That sounds more like an opera than a Broadway show.
Yeah.
The opera's full of tragedy and blood and
Yeah.
lust and
Well,
everything else.
in that way, it very much is. I mean, it's a very violent Broadway show. And in that way, it asks the question, which I think is still, as far as I know, kind of undetermined, is what's the difference between a musical and an opera? Well, often it's that, an opera will have no speaking parts whatsoever, interludes in between songs. A musical often will, but not always. So if you have a musical that has no speaking parts in between songs, is that then an opera? I think they're actually it's just a weird question that I don't fully know the correct answer to, is what is the actual difference?
Well, Broadway's also become much more pop in recent years. I mean, I see a lot of Broadway shows now because I cover theater, and Broadway doesn't tend to be that edgy, although like Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson, which was an emo musical, was freaking hilarious.
Awesome.
It was awesome. It was all about Andrew Jackson and how he was a polarizing figure in U.S. history. But they did it with a lot of these emo tunes. So like when he meets his future wife, they're slitting each other's wrists and blood splurting everywhere, and they're being all tragic and everything. And there's other moments where he comes off like a frat boy in the White House. Like he's sitting there in the Oval Office, and there's a tour, and he has these two groupies there. He's like, check this out. Make out. And they start making out. And he's like, see? And that's it. And it's, but it's snarky, but there was actually more of a...
do on stage. I'm not even joking. We actually have a part that's like, girl on girl, go.
You see? Same vibe. So maybe you can do it.
No,
Granted, that show only lasted 3 months on Broadway, but it was still hilarious.
Yeah, that's why I'm giving myself 2 years. Within 2 years, I will have this done to either, no joke, debut on Broadway or London West End, whichever seems like the most realistic thing, is because I want to make it right. It's like opening a restaurant. You don't really get, vast majority fail, and you don't really get a second chance most of the time to do this. So it needs to be done absolutely perfectly, and it's going to be huge. It's not me and 3 girls. It's going to be a cast of 40, and this 3-hour-long epic thing. But like the show, it's very important, like you were mentioning, the poppy aspects of modern Broadway. And I totally agree with that. And this is definitely not what I want this to be. This is not supposed to be like Wicked. This is not supposed to be like, I don't know, all of these other things that seem to be, when I think Broadway, I think like Sondheim, like Andrew Lloyd Webber, like things that can be, flippant and humorous and all of that, but actually are like really fucking dramatic and artsy and that. And I'm not thinking like modern stuff, which does seem very pop culture or like Legally Blonde or whatever. Like I'm sure it's all lovely, but that's not what I'm talking about at all. And so, I'd like to take it back to a really dark, dramatic, but having hilarious, like it was very important, especially as the subject matter and the intensity of the storytelling is no longer just establishing me or this world, and it's like song, and it's all kind of leading up to this picture. But this is very literally, we are telling a story from here to here, and it's completely cohesive, and you go on these journeys with these people, even just the 4 of us now, because we'll alternate. And it's like, now I'm a doctor, now I'm an inmate, now we're changing, we're this course, now we're this. And we make it seem, or attempt to, you be the judge, that, it's like 50 people up there when in fact right now it's me and 3 hot chicks. So they're also really good at stuff, but I just like belittling them in that way. But that's the thing, is that it was very important as it got more just this narrative, this intense epic story, and these really dark things that happen, to maintain, if not up, the level of vaudeville and burlesque, and those burlesque in the true sense of like satire and old school social commentary is told through sex and humor. And that's how I think of it in any case of this show. So it was important to keep the really humorous, really fucking hilarious bits in order to balance out that we've just gotten really, really dark and brutal. And also just to have these beautiful ballads that are just heartbreaking. So putting all of that, saying these are all ingredients that you need to make a really fucking good cake. And in that way, there's still a bit of something for everybody, despite the fact that, I don't know how we're able to do it. We still maintain our audience of like 9 years old when it's all ages venues, and the parents go with them. I'm sure it's okay. But then the parents are into it too.
Wow.
We'll see how that works. It's like crazy, just gender and like guys, girls, everything in between. We're getting just by the day growing the gay, lesbian, tranny, I have no idea what you are, audience. And I think just it's just getting more and more theatrical, and the pageantry of it. And now we have new sets and things to climb on. We actually see the inside of this place and the prison bars and all of these things, to where we really have tools to be able to tell these stories from both sides.